Are we live? Good morning and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. We are live. Today is November, Bender. We did a new month. It's a different one today than it was yesterday. The first day of November 2023.
We're there. We made it.
Whoo, buddy. Do you know what that means?
It means I have to start hearing about Christmas lights and things.
There's only 1 month left until we're in December, which means it's only 2 more months until we are in 2024.
Very observant. Very observant.
These are the things, man. These are the things that can at times keep me up at night pondering. I'm glad that, that we were able to shed some light on this, provide some clarity, put some color
Hash it all
on it.
out. Yeah.
And now that we've done that, we can put a pin in it and we can move on to the economic data that we received this evening or this morning. Look, data about what it needs to be for the Fed to not continue to try to murder the American people. So there's a positive there. Outside of that, we're stuck in the same world and zone that we were yesterday. We did some dips, we did some rips off the data. Now we're sitting here trying to figure out what's next. What we do know is we get additional data at 10 a.m. Big data, job openings, crude oil, ISM manufacturing. We get a data dump at the top of the hour. So at the top of the next hour. And then we get Powell, and then we get Apple ER soon thereafter. I believe that's tomorrow. So, again, we've been talking about it all week. The deck has been shuffled and reshuffled again. Yesterday during pre-market, Bender, I felt like you and I absolutely nailed the day in a nutshell. As far as, these are the levels by the dip. Some of our levels lined up even where we kind of tapped out at the end of yesterday. Same. Today, I think it's a little bit more challenging based on everything that's hanging out there that we're kind of waiting and anticipating for. And, some of these things like to inverse themselves. For example, usually whatever the dollar has been doing several days in advance of FOMC, it does the opposite after FOMC. Same with gold. Whatever it's been doing going into it, it does the opposite afterwards. That's on balance.
Your mic is like
I know
scratchy.
what it is. Yeah, it's because it's rubbing on a zipper. It's snowing here, dude. It's snowing.
You gotta fix that.
I fixed it. I think I'm better now.
Thank you.
It's literally snowing here right now. I'm watching it snow.
Yeah, it does that up there.
It's weird, dude. anyways, so that's kind of what I'm looking at. It's like whatever comes after his speech is going to most likely be direction moving forward. Um, Flow has been bearish, guys, but we have seen some pretty significant SPX lines to the upside. As we've seen, as Phil pointed out either yesterday or day before yesterday, there's some pretty heinous lines below at the same time. So we have to be very, very neutral for the day. I plan on being neutral. I plan on not hearing order filled every 38 seconds from myself. That is my goal. Every 40 seconds, that's fine. That's fine. 38 seconds, I need to really, really, you know, use some disciplines in here just for the day. With that being said, Bender, tell us what you got, man.
All right. Let's get the screen share going. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Let's start with the daily here. I want to point out, yes, here on the daily, the top of this daily fair value gap here comes in at 42.42. Currently sitting 42.15.25. That's where that comes from. If we zoom into a 60-minute, turn this up, you can see you had sort of relative equal lows right there. Not exactly right there where that daily fair value gap is. The top of it broke down. That gave us that move all the way down here to 41.20. What is that? 41.22.25. So if we continue to move up, I would kind of head on a swivel in that area. If we are moving up, and when you look at the hourly here, you can see that we have, at least for now, we have shifted direction on the hourly. Coming into this, all of these candles, clearly the objective, the move, the push was lower, right? We kind of bottomed out, had this little gap up, held that, it stayed open. We had this hourly candle here that we talked about yesterday. We came down and actually filled the 15-minute fair value gap perfectly to the tick before bouncing, and then held. There was a 15-minute fair value gap in here that stayed open. So at least for now, the objective seems to be to push to the upside until it doesn't anymore. So if we're going to continue to push up, I would, make sure you're aware of this 42.41.75. If you've got longs as we approach that area, just, that's a good area to keep an eye on your shorter time frames and look for a potential market structure shift. Now, again, if that is the objective and the goal is to push us higher, this shouldn't stop us completely, right? It may act as a speed bump for a couple hours, maybe even a day. Maybe it gives us a pullback on the daily. But just be aware that level is up there. Once we get through that, well, then you've got this level right in here, 42.64.25. And then there's not a whole lot until 42.90.75. And, like we said, pretty quickly, we can be right back at, 4,300. And then looking at the hourly, you get above that, and you get this 43.04.25. And then this hourly fair value gap in here that was left open at 43.18. there's not really a whole lot to stop it once it gets that momentum, and that once it starts, taking out some of these levels. I would say we get through that daily fair value gap. The next level, kind of head on a swivel, would be right in here, 42.6425. That was kind of that little bounce high before coming all the way down here. Zooming into, let's look at the 15-minute. And you can see this 15-minute fair value gap in here from yesterday. We came right down to the top of it, and that's where we got our bounce. Right. So I would like to see this area continue to hold, but know that, if we do come down and take out, let's say 41.9125, and it doesn't quickly reclaim that, you may come down here and check 41.82. Then these candles down here, 41.72, so another 10 down. And then the real evil would be 41.6675, that everyone sees that this held and they're like, oh yeah, that'll hold. No. If they were to take that out, then in my mind, this kind of goes to shit. Let's see, what else we got? Potential or possible seek and destroy type action today. We had the London session has taken out the Asia session, both highs and lows. So know that that is a possibility. So we could, in theory, take out both of these. Come down and take out 41.9125 and, maybe consolidate a little bit. There is a volume imbalance right in here. So I would be, I think what you said as far as trying not to hit the button too often today. There may be some fuckery on deck. I think that's a possibility. It is also Wednesday, so they will do their best to destroy all options premium. Now, what that means for today, I'm not really sure, but you've heard Hells mention quite a few times the amount of money that was sitting in puts. And if that's the case, then it may be difficult for them to really get a push down if they're going to try to, burn premium. And I think that's about all I got.
Nice. Good stuff. I can see it. Makes a lot of sense. Got the levels charted out. Let's see. I think Hell stepped away, so I can jump into some stuff over here. Let's see what we got. I guess we probably, no, yeah, still no Sunny. All right. So we've got a bunch of news, so we can talk through that. It's got a lot going on today. Let's see here. CVS had a good ER. Estee Lauder, not so good. Wayfair, down 8%, missed their revenue estimates. Not a fan of Wayfair over there. They sent me a chair once and didn't send all the parts. And I had to keep hitting them up, and they kept sending the wrong shit. So you got what you
did. You end up with enough parts to make 2 chairs?
That would have been.
That's what you should have done. You should have been like, well, now I need another set of arms because I'm about 3/4 of the way through a new chair.
Just keep sending them, guys.
I had ordered a mini fridge, like a wine fridge, on Wayfair last year, and it showed up and it didn't work, and it was like a $800 or $900 little wine fridge thing, and they just sent me a brand new one. Right?
Nice.
I've had good luck, and it turned out that the compressor, there was an issue with the compressor, and I found somebody that fixes those things who ended up buying it. But yeah, they were like, "Oh, keep it. We'll just send you another one."
Double down.
Yeah, no, that's it. We did very well with Wayfair, and then if you do the professional Wayfair professional, you pay the extra whatever it is, and they literally they'll send you whatever. There's a little
Yeah.
piece missing, a part missing, they'll send you a brand new whatever it is, like an entire set of what it is. It's crazy. Great
I
luck
love
with
to-
Wayfair for me.
Hey, before Stonkington gets too far into these charts, anything you want to say about AMD's ER?
Um, yeah, I do. I think they're sandbagging guidance. Um, I think that they're doing that. I think that's kind of a theme. We've seen a lot of straddles. So look, they beat top and bottom, right? That's undisputable. Their guidance was a little bit lower, but it still straddles the existing guidance that's out there. I think that companies right now are, for a lot of pretty good reasons, sandbagging guidance moving forward. I also think that where AMD is priced, I said it yesterday, it's going to 105 by hook or crook. It was on the, some of that flow was on the verge of it. The way they dipped it and then bought it back up, based on where it's priced also, yeah, no, I think AMD did what they were supposed to do and will continue to. When they release that new chip, they're going to start pulling market share away from Nvidia. I don't know if it's one of those things where it's going to wound Nvidia, but they're going to, make more money. AMD will moving forward. So all in all, I think it was a good ER with cautious guidance in an environment to where why not be cautious when everybody and their mother insists that we're going to die? And I am not an AMD shareholder. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it, as being one of those tickers that I definitely want to be buying on this dip. Definitely, without question. Is that it? Answer?
That yeah. That answers, I believe. Yeah, we can get more into it a little bit later. I was just kind of curious to get your thoughts. I saw that there was a bunch of price target downgrades, although all of those price targets still well above
20
where
to
it currently
30%
sits.
above, right?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that, and that's where it's so disingenuous. It's like, just shut the fuck
Yeah.
up. It's like, what are you downgrading, you idiot?
I still
It's
miss the days where we would see like price target downgrades on Tesla that were when it was trading at like $800 and there'd be a $60 price target. Like,
right. And what the
raises from 60 to 65. Like,
yeah. Yeah, look, the whole thing is laughable. No matter how you look at it, the way they work these price targets and they work what they do, it's like it's all a game. And it so and not to take away from Stonk here. I want him to be able to get into what he's doing.
Yeah.
But when I and maybe you also, when you first started trading, it's like when you saw upgrade or downgrade, that was like, oh wow, that's so great and grand. Now at this point in my trading career, when I see it, it's just like, y'all assets are playing games. What are you trying to accomplish with this right here, right now?
yeah.
Like just like before Apple's last ER, everybody came out with a 230 price target. We trading in 160s right now. What are y'all doing?
Well, and when it does go to 230, it could be years, right? But it'll get to 230 and there'll be people on T going, well, I gave the 230 price target about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I've been saying it's going to 230. Yeah, well, it went to 150 first.
Yeah, no, it's like a lot of it is just when it comes to these institutions, and there's no regulation, there's no anything that says that what they're doing is misleading. But I'll still go back to the overall concept and premise that if you put out a price target increase, and if your institution sells one fucking share, you get to go to jail, dude. You get to go to jail. That's and I firmly believe you do that, you start levying like massive fines on these institutions, and an upgrade or a downgrade might actually be meaningful.
Right.
But instead, you're front running it one way or the other. with these headlines and this messaging. And look at
all game.
Hollywood's taking a piece of it, and they're running with it and they're explaining it. You've seen it in billions. There's probably 4 or 5 different movies out right now on Netflix and some of the other services that you can see how, you know, these institutions will manipulate for their own purposes within a certain time frame that works for them. And it's collusion and price fixing. There's no other way to get around it. Sorry, Stonks. Sorry to tangent here a little bit, but I think for me, Bender brought up the topic, and for me, it's kind of like you have to sometimes every once in a while go back and reflect on your overall trading career and what you thought to be isn't kind of like Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, or Ether Bunny, as Bender is so fond of.
I didn't say I was fond of it. I just was shocked you'd never heard of the Ether Bunny. Anyway.
It's like, no, it's all a fucking fairy
I was just
tale.
Curious. I didn't really dig into the ER yet, so I was just kind of wondering what your take on it was.
That's my take.
Thanks.
I'm sure somebody else is going to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's going to zero. It's going back to $9. Okay, that's where it's going. I'm sure there's plenty of those cats out there that are doing it. I think it was a great ER. It wasn't spectacular, but seeing that we were all supposed to die, you beat guide within a couple of percentage points, you winning, man. It's good ER.
So was Intel's ER or AMD's ER better? Okay, we'll move on. Go ahead, Stonkington.
All right.
Please continue.
How about a tie goes to the runner, right? We'll say a tie goes to the runner. Especially if I factor in forward thoughts on it. Tie goes to the runner.
All right. There you go. And what a great time to get into some upgrades and downgrades. Goldman picks Boeing as its top pick. Orange juice prices hit an all-time high amid bleak production outlook. If you guys need oranges, I got some trees in the back. Just let me know. I always end up with way too many. Biden's going to meet up with G in San Francisco in November. WeWork is going to file for bankruptcy, down 35%. Let's see, TGTX up 20%. Must have something good going on. Let's see what else we got. Downgraded BP. That one got downgraded. Ford upgraded to equal weight. And let's see, Payc just getting downgraded across the board. And VFS overweighted. I think that's about it on the news and the upgrade downgrade. So let's do some charts. We got the Larry Williams smash day that has been running to the upside. So Larry would be green. He would have his stop all the way down there when he bought the breakout of this candle's high. So technically at this point, it would be a smash day potentially to the downside. Each day we get the close above the prior day's high. You'd be looking to potentially short the low. So we can set up some alerts on there that'll get that popping in the room, and we'll see what we get over there on SPY, similar on the Qs. Let's jump over into the charts here. I was kind of following along with Bender, so we can jump over to the NASDAQ. See what we got. So if we jump over to the hourly, very similar. Kind of one thing that stands out here is we've got equal lows down there. So Algo's thinking that's a lot of liquidity sitting right there. We've also got a lot of stops sitting right down here. So we'll see what we get. And also, if we were going to do seek and destroy, we've also stopped out this bear with a break-even stop. So we'll see what we get. Yellow box is a daily fair value gap. Obviously, we've got a big day. We've got the ADP non-farm employment looks like that was where we popped. Then we've got ISM manufacturing jolts has been having a lot bigger reactions. Those are in 45 minutes, and then we've got so a lot on deck. This is just kind of the technical setup that I'm seeing. You know, we got stops below, and then if we can invalidate this rising wedge, then we've got daily fair value gap room all the way up into 14,706 on the NASDAQ. Jump over to the Russell. Interesting kind of setup here as well. We've got equal highs, so definitely stops sitting above. We've got our favorite level below on the daily that we've been talking about for a few weeks, 1647, and then we've got this double bottom here where there'll be some stops sitting as well. So we'll see, based on this kind of rising setup here with equal highs, this technically would be kind of like a ascending triangle as opposed to a rising wedge because of these equal highs. So it's one that can go either way. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that little trend line over there and see what we get over on the Rusty. We did see some decent bull lines in the flow over there. So that's definitely going to be something I will have on watch. And then in terms of individual tickers, I wanted to be watching AMD today. I liked that. It seemed like they said AI just at the right time to save the ER call. And we've got a key level that it kind of stalled out on during their ER call, which is going to be this 99.25. You can see bang, 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 bang. So going to be looking for that to pop and hold for a potential scalp. Also, if we kind of zoom out here, we're still in this big falling setup. So on the technical side, if we can, break out, this would be a decent setup for upside, kind of aligning Hell's thoughts over there. And then we've got a big dark pool below 96.75. If we break that and hold below it, that would be looking short with this 93.05 as a good first target. You can see fibs kind of lining up there. A lot of activity down here on this 93.05 on AMD. The other one I was going to keep an eye on today was going to be Microsoft daily inside bar, and I've mostly got big dark pools here on Microsoft. There's this one above 340.67. That's 11% from October 25th. So want to see that pop and hold, and then we could potentially have a target up here. This other dark pool that's a double that size up from July, 340.377.
So
below.
Microsoft has gotten really, really nice flow over the last several days. Going back to the end of last week, they were playing for a Microsoft move to the upside. We continue to get good activity into those 245s and 242.50s for this and next week. Like that continues. They were banging 337.50s pretty much all day yesterday and I believe Monday. So yeah, no, I love the Microsoft and AMD ideas.
Nice, good stuff. Yeah, downside of just be watching these 336.95. You can see it's a pretty key level as well. And looks like Total's got a headline on Apple adding blood pressure monitoring and sleep apnea to your Apple Watch. We'll see if there's reactions over there. I think that's all I got for today.
Thanks, Stonk. So yeah, in a nutshell, this is where we're at. We're right where we were yesterday, right? Give or take a couple of nickels. We got a big day today. I think for me, Bender, I'm going to do everything I can to not click the button until after the data comes out at 10. One thing for sure with this market, if you're patient enough, it'll give you 3 or 4 chances to play the exact same level.
Yep.
Sometimes within the same hour. It's like just be patient and wait. It's like the direction that the market wants to take will take, the foundation will be laid with Powell's speech and it'll be solidified in overnight action into tomorrow. That leaves a lot of time, a lot of room for volatility, and a lot of games. So a couple of historical pieces to kind of look at. The way this is kind of setting up in my head in a lot of ways, if we're kind of looking at where we are now and where we could be by the end of the year, depending on his speech and how the market embraces it, this has the ability to turn into 2018. a lot of these things are exactly the same as 18. I think I've mentioned 18 several times over the last year in different ways, but I think because we're at the end of some type of a cycle, in a lot of ways, a beginning of another, when you go back and look at 2018, a lot of the things were very, very similar as far as the tone that the Fed was taking, as far as where, you know, companies were kind of reporting there were more questions than answers. It's like that was 2018. And what happened is he came out in Jackson Hole that year and he was a cock. And then he continued to be a cock for several more sessions. And we literally bled until Christmas Eve. We bled and we bled and we bled some more. Now, why do I bring up 18? Mainly because some of the targets that I can see from the downside could match that type of a similar move. Could. But a lot of that hinges on his speech and how and what he says today. You can't knock corporate earnings right now. You are guessing if you're saying, well, they're going to be X, Y, and Z, and you know, when they report, you know, what is it? So obviously 3 months from now, you're guessing completely and totally. So we have to take these companies that are kind of sandbagging their guidance, I think, a little bit, and for good reason, and put that up against what the Fed may be trying to accomplish with their messaging today. The odds of them doing what they should do from the standpoint of coming out and saying, you know, how they were so diligent in saying no rate cuts, no rate cuts. We will not be cutting. You are crazy. You're smoking the crack rock if you are thinking we're going to cut rates anytime soon. If they were honest brokers, they would come out today and say, we are not raising rates anymore. We've reached where we need to be. We're going to let this thing go. We are not going to raise it. There's no thoughts of raising right now in any capacity. That's what they should say if they're honest brokers. Will they? Seriously doubt it. Seriously doubt they will. But I think ultimately, if you're reading through the lines, we'll kind of get that type of messaging that, you know what, it's inflation is still stubborn, it's still sticky. But then you have to take the backdrop of an election year and a backdrop of what's going on with you know, in the economy in a lot of ways. As far as consumers, they're being squeezed. Their savings are dwindling. They're not getting pay increases like they were. There's softness in the job market. Go ahead and raise again. Go ahead. This is like double dog motherfucking dare you, pal. I dare you to do it again. That's where we're at. Hope to have more light and more color on these thoughts in particular tomorrow morning. I think that'll be the best time to re-dig into this conversation. But I think there's a lot to think about. And when you're watching flow today, watch for those lines. Post Powell, are we seeing more 400 and 400 put activity coming in? Or are we reaching back up to that 440, 460 area? What are we seeing? That flow is going to tell us what we're seeing. That's all I got. You guys have anything else?
I'm good.
Everybody good. All right. We have about 7 minutes until open. Let's have a good one.
See ya.
See you soon.